Okay guys, what's going on? So this is the 16th birthday story, and first of all I tried to make this like an update, and I spent like 4 minutes talking about all the people I wanted to thank. That's going to have to go in another video, because I just, literally, there isn't enough time, the story's too big. So, let's jump right in. I was 16 years old, living just outside of London, and just outside the M25 in a town called Camberley in Surrey, Camberley, if anyone wants to be really freaky and you know, stalk me. I live in New York City now, by the way, so that's not where I live. Yeah, I was 16. My parents were amazingly cool and let me have a party. Their one caveat was that they would be allowed to stay. They hid in upstairs bedrooms and in our computer room, and that was it. We lived in a rented house, so my parents never really had the chance to think that they could stay in the UK for too long. We did end up staying for 21 years, but and that can be a whole other story. But for whatever purposes, we actually rented a house while we lived in England, which was interesting. So the basic concept is that we were throwing a 16th birthday party for me, and I'd been allowed to invite maybe 50, 60 people. We had a fairly decent sized house and a pretty big back garden, so it was okay. And there was a roller disco that sort of the local leisure center threw every Friday night. And apparently at that place, someone had pulled a knife, and being that they had management and security and all the rest of it, they just shut down the place. Well, we're not having this, so get the hell out of our place, type thing. Unfortunately for us, those guys had their leisure center about 3 blocks on the one side of us, and town was on the other side of us. So they literally had to walk by our house to get to town, to get to the pub to have their next beer. And instead of doing that, they saw our place and just walked in. So that's kind of one thing that happened, and the majority of the details I'll talk to you about, we found out over the the weeks and the months and even the years after the party happened, because you pull together from everyone else talking about that story, and you get together in a pub like, oh dude, I remember your 16th. Do you remember do you know that this happened? And my brother had a knife pulled on him. Some kid left my mom a bottle of vodka as a present. One of my buddies decided it would be a good idea to offer my dad a reefer and smoke up with him, and my dad just looked at him and was like, you're crazy, what's wrong with you? So yeah, there's a lot of different stories that happened last night, but I'll try and get it in chronological order, although it doesn't happen in real life. You don't just sort of sit there and go, holy shit, the party's getting worse and worse and worse, and it's not like a gradual step-by-step process. It takes a blink of an eye, and you've gone from 100 people where you were a little bit nervous because it's a little bit more than you wanted, to 350 people and you're freaking the hell out and there's police copters all over you, and that was pretty scary. So we had a driveway that was sort of U-shaped. You could go in and out at either entrance, and eventually the police put a cop car at either end of that entrance. That was after the mobile HQ had already turned up and started evaluating the situation. They realized that with the growing number of people, they didn't want to just jump in and put police officers in clothing straight into the party. That could freak a lot of people out, and then the consequences of that would not be good. So as they were doing that, more people were coming, and it was kind of a little tense time. But then when they finally did stop it out, they reckon there was about 350 people in our tiny little house. Well, not tiny, but it certainly showed. There was a wave of people. You could have crowd surfed in my front living room, which was pretty scary. In fact, in my front living room, in the front hall, in the kitchen, and out onto the back garden. So I'll give you guys a few highlights of what was going on. We had, like I said, it was a rented place, and we had this sort of cabinet that was for displaying china, really nice china that the owners had, and that was in like their fancy dining room area. And these two guys decided to have it out. Now we had a fish tank in there as well. And I swear to God, we had probably 7, maybe 8 fish in that fish tank, and the next morning we had 2, and they were both dead because they'd both been eating vomit. Where the other, 5 or 6 fish go, I have no idea. Like, I'm pretty sure those guys literally just ate our fish, and to this day I'm pretty bitter about that, I'm not going to lie. How in the world would you eat a fish in the middle of a fight? Now, I know one of them got dunked, like his head got dunked into the fish tank. I was on the other side of the window, like in the garden, looking in at this fight as it happened, and 2 of my best buddies were in there looking at me going, what the do we do right now? And they were kind of holding in the fight and just trying to keep them from not smashing through the window and not smashing into the glass or the china cabinet, and also not smashing into the fish tank. While this is all going on, we have a crowd of people in the front entrance, and a girl comes up to me, and I'm a 16-year-old, and not really sure what to do when the girl came up to me and asked me what to do, considering she just got her period and needed to figure out what to do next. And I bring her upstairs, and that's kind of how I told my mom that there were a shit ton more people than there needed to be at our party. I was like, Mom, can you help out here a bit? And Mom was awesome, of course. I run into my dad, and as I do that, I leave the girl with my mom, and she helps her out, and it's all good. And I run out to my dad, and I notice that we have one of these old satellite dishes at this point, and I mean old, like it was firmly planted on the ground. It had like cement lodgings into the ground, not one of these tiny little things you stick on your door. And this thing could move. It could like pick up different satellites. So Dad had it programmed to be able to automatically move between the different satellites that were out there in Europe at the time. So that was another interesting thing. This kid was side kicking it, like literally going up and kicking this thing to try and get it to rock, to tip over. And of all the things that would be pissing off my dad at this moment, I figured that was one of the biggest ones. So I tell him that. My dad comes over to this kid and grabs him by the shoulders and throws him against the fence. And he topples over, he falls down, and he gets up, and he's one of these little, wannabe racist Nazis, doesn't really know what he believes, but he's 16 and he's angry, so that's what he's going to do. And he starts yelling some bullshit about, go home Americans, blah, 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 blah. And he goes to take a swipe at my dad with a knife. He pulls out a knife, and he's got it on my dad. Now, I'm a black belt in Taekwondo. My dad's a third degree in Taekwondo. He's always insisted on, being self-aware and having some martial art training and knowing how to handle yourself in that type of situation. And it's not hard when someone's drunk and pulling a knife on you, like, and you're sober and you're 6'1", 180-pound guy. Like, my dad took care of him really quickly, but obviously didn't let him have the knife, and he threw him through a fence. Unfortunately, the police decided to turn up as my dad threw him through the fence. So I'm standing there, my dad's standing there, and his kid's crashing through the fence. And the police get out. Now, it's, they don't have guns, they're not pulling stuff on us, but they walk over, and the Bobby walks over to my dad, and he's like, and what's going on here, sir? And the guy's like, we got a party, it's out of control, I don't know what to do. And the kid gets up and starts, yelling obscenities and whatever. And apparently there was an arrest warrant out for the kid, because the cops recognized him immediately. It wasn't like they were like, oh, is that this person? No, they just jumped on this kid, handcuffed him, and put him in the back, like, no, we know exactly who that kid is, we've got an arrest warrant out for him. So, that was when the cops showed up, and a few minutes after that, their sort of mobile HQ, parked like maybe a half a block away. We were on the end of a T-junction, so they parked literally across the road from us, and then they got the cop cars in after they'd sent the undercovers through, and then then they got the helicopter above at that point in time, and that was really to try and disperse the crowd. So it was a pretty interesting night. The guys that my dad threw through a fence ended up sort of trying to bully me at school, and within the next year I grew to I'm 6'3", and they stayed at their little 5'8" status. So it didn't really last very long, but they thought they'd try and be intimidating me for a little while, and that's basically the end of the story. We were famous for a long time. The principal came up to me at our sort of pseudo prom that we had and told me that those kids had been banned, and there would be a private security firm had been hired to handle what was going on at the prom, so that I wouldn't get any issues and me and my date would be safe. And that was about it. I do remember one highlight, and this is the image I want to leave you with. But we had one of those grand pianos, and I mean, I don't know anything about pianos. Piano Lamp can probably help us out here. Piano Lamp, leave a message and let us know what type of piano I'm talking about here. But it was a really nice sort of sit down and piano, and this girl was pouring a beer over the keys, like literally just standing there pouring a beer over the keys, and I came and walked by her and grabbed the beer out of her hand, and it sloshed everywhere, obviously. And I'm looking at her like, what the What are you doing, you retard? And she looks at me, she goes, oh, I don't know, they look like they might be thirsty. And I was like, oh my God, what have we done here? So that was one of the highlights of my moment. That and the guy that was offering drugs to my parents in the kitchen, that was hilarious. Mom ends up making them sausage rolls and snacks because she was like, well, they're stoned. I'm sure they're going to want some munchies in a little while. I'm like, oh my God, you guys are cool. The only last thing I want to mention is that I never got grounded for this. My parents were 100% cool. They realized straight out the gate, this is nothing to do with me, and I didn't cause this. And that was a pretty cool feeling. My parents are probably the coolest people on the planet. Nowadays, if I try and throw a party, my friends ask if my parents will be there, not because if my parents are there, they won't come, but more because if my parents aren't there, they won't come. So it's kind of a prerequisite in my family, in the verbal family, to make sure that the parents are there, because they're basically really cool people, and you know, I love them to death. So I was really happy I didn't get grounded for that story. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. There'll be a little bit more of an update video coming out shortly where I thank 10 million people, because they've all been absolutely amazing to me. But this was a story that kind of needed its own video, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Take it easy, guys. Talk to you soon.